Don't know how much you mean to me, but you act like you don't remember me. When you can't wipe me out of your memory, I'm unforgettable.
Oh, that's new music, y'all. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Boss Morning Show. It's 7:12, y'all. We got a special guest coming in. I got to pick him up, y'all. Running kind of late. Got a video this morning. We got some James Baldwin, y'all. Quick little knowledge. Famous author. This is an interview for 1963. Right after this song, y'all.
Can't even see my daughter, I don't think it's fair to me. It feel like I gotta die to get someone to care for me. I often wonder why it ain't nobody there for me. Never really had nobody, so support is rare to me. I heard you only get one life and I've been moving carefully. Swear I done been to places people wouldn't dare to be. And I done see some things that I ain't really care to see. I'm a troubled human being and probably need some therapies. Cause nobody intervenes until they see you perishing. I don't want you to wait until I die to cherish me. Cause baby, I'm the king, I can't let you embarrass me. Doing in the end for me, it ain't nobody rare as me. Sick of those abusing me, misusing and confusing me. Usually I'm the target, it's like they always choosing me. So I keep my heart guarded so I don't end up losing me. I done been broken hearted before, it's nothing new to me. They thought I was retarded cause I maneuver stupidly. When in my head I thought no one maneuvered as smooth as me. A bunch of people faking, they be acting cool with me. Steady smiling in my face and probably plan on shooting me. Last dude tried to kill me, used to go to school with me. Been knowing up since second grade, you really grew with me. Now I can't leave the house unless I got that two of me. Be a cold day in hell before I let you fool with me. Girl, you wasting your time if you plan on seducing me. You can shake that booty me, but girl, it ain't amusing me. Baby, I would rather know what can you really do for me. Cause you gotta hit the door if you got plans to ruin me. Can't even see my daughter, I don't think it's fair to me. It feel like I gotta die to get someone to care for me. I often wonder why it ain't nobody there for me. Never really had nobody, so support is rare to me. I heard you only get one life and I've been moving carefully. Swear I done been to places people wouldn't dare to be. And I done see some things that I ain't really care to see. I'm a troubled human being and probably need some therapy. If you accept me, then accept how I'm living. If you respect me, then respect my decisions. I've been thugging with a passion. There's some things you can't imagine. Got mama telling me I need to move different. I've been tripping. I don't know why me and my daughter so distant. I don't know why they wanna ride in my image. I know they don't want me completing my mission. Only God is my witness. Yeah. The same people I call family abandoned me. Say they love me and wouldn't lend it open-handed me. So when I'm up and finally able to manage me, I bet I won't forget the things you did to damage me. Saying sorry was just a way that you could banish me. But you can keep them fake apologies you handed me. Slowly but surely becoming the man I plan to be. I got a plan for me, but I don't think you understand. Can't see my daughter, I don't think it's fair to me. It feel like I gotta die to get someone to care for me. I often wonder why.
Oh yeah, new music, y'all.
Never really had nobody.
My man down. You down locked up in Oh yeah, sometimes we make mistakes, y'all. If you need some therapy, make sure you go. We all need some help, y'all. Ain't nothing wrong with talking to somebody. No. Man, that's a new music, man. Open up. That's what that's called. Yeah, man, he's locked up right now in Sarpy County. Oh, yeah, we're showing a little love this morning. The day is, Make That Money Monday. We got a special guest coming in, but in the meantime, we got a video, James Baldwin. It's an interview for 1963. I told y'all we are a research radio station, the first of its kind. Oh, yeah, our goal is to improve self, your family, and our community. The only way to do it is to do it. Also, we received a national grant. Oh, yeah, thanks to the Trump administration. I know y'all mad. Recognizing 400 years of Black, contribution to America. And so we're going to play some history. That's our contribution. We're going to play the contribution of the past heroes. Oh, yeah, those that have participated in our freedom. Check this one out, y'all. This was James Baldwin, 1963. I wasn't even born yet. Let's see if things have really changed. It is 2021. Check this one out. Hold on a second. Let me get it queued up. This is James Baldwin. If you don't know, now you know. If you're a young person, shouts out to the bus drivers transporting our precious cargo. If you are a young person in college, in high school, or junior high, study James Baldwin. Oh yeah, you might not hear about him in your school books, but we gonna teach you here. 95.7 The Boss. We don't participate in the ignorance. We work for God, without a doubt. Check out my man James Baldwin, one of the brothers that have participated in our struggle for freedom. Plantation, y'all, 2 feet in, 2 feet in.
Good evening. I hope that nobody will think I'm copying a plea if I say I'm a little tired. And so if you can't hear me up there, you have to let me know. Now, before I begin, let me say this. I have set arbitrarily, I have set us the somewhat delicate task of discussing our common trouble tonight. That is, there are some things that I want to talk about, to suggest to you, and then I want to find out what you think, and perhaps we can establish a dialogue, and if we are extremely disciplined and hard-headed, passionate and moral, we might be able even to rock that rock which is called Washington. I know, in fact, that when this meeting was envisioned on the 28th of August in Washington, when Bayard suggested that we ought to have some kind of open discussion about what follows the Washington March, obviously neither Bayard nor I nor any of you suppose that less than 4 weeks later, we would be representatives of a nation which is, or which certainly ought to be, in mourning. Now, I have to say some very reckless things tonight, and so I want to make it absolutely clear that I am talking for myself. I might be at other platforms and other occasions more or less representing this or that organization or this or that committee, but tonight I am talking to you as Jimmy Baldwin, who was born in Harlem 39 years ago, who has a certain responsibility to the people that produced him. That is all of you. And I'm speaking to you, if I may say so, not as an organizer, and not as a Negro leader, and not as a public figure, not as any of those things, but as one of the poets that you produced. We have to talk about economics tonight, and in some detail, we must talk about morals, and I think in some detail, and we must talk about something even more difficult to put one's finger on, which for the moment we will call morale. And the assumption on which I am speaking is this: that whether or not we like it, we have reached a point, black and white, in this country where all of the previous systems of communication, negotiation, accommodation have become unusable. To discuss the economics first, a few days ago, it was suggested by some of us, as forcefully as we knew how, that in order for the country to be unable to ignore and to forget the slaughter of 6 children in an American city, and in order to join the issue and bring the battle to where the battle really is, that is to say, to strike at the economic structure that no one, black or white, should buy any presents for Christmas. I think that we should spell this out perhaps a little more precisely. I mean, and now I'm speaking for myself, that in this Christian nation, Christmas is mainly, as indeed are most churches, a commercial endeavor, having nothing whatever to do with the birth or the death of Christ. That if one begins to serve notice, ultimately on the banks, that we, the citizens of this country, do not consider that we have the right to celebrate Christmas this year, and that furthermore, we will use every weapon in our power to force this on the attention of the American Republic, which unluckily, I have to say, has its conscience mainly in its pocketbook. I believe that we will begin to see some notion of our potential power. Let me put it this way. Before this country was established, when the country was being established, and this apart from what one's textbooks say, and in contradistinction to the television myths about the building, the discovery of America, the people who came to America, as it turns out, were neither heroes, saints, nor pilgrims. They were simply people who couldn't make it where they were. And that is why they came. They came here to make, as we like to say, a better life for themselves and their children. And as it turned out, and as it always does indeed turn out, what they meant by a better life for themselves and their children was the opportunity to make more money and oppress somebody else. Which is what they did. The Indians have vanished, except for those we have under protective custody. And in order to build the country, it was necessary to find a source of cheap labor. And therefore, 400 years later, I represent the only man who never wanted to come here. But if I had not come under the double coercion of the Bible and the gun, I very much doubt that we would have all those railroads, and cotton would never have become king. And in short, the American economy would be at best a very different matter. Now, if we had the economic weight to line the track and dam the rivers and hold the cotton and also raise the children, we can now use that weight for the first time for ourselves and for the liberation of this country. It is not true that there is nothing Negroes can do to help themselves, A, And B, it is not true that we, this nation, must be perpetually blackmailed by our government. The government represents us. And finally, C, neither is it true, as so many of the Negro's friends would have us believe, that the only terms on which we can move to freedom are the terms of Harry Ashmore or Harry Golden. We, the people, are responsible for our own freedom. We are not begging for it. It is up to us to take it. Mr. Livingston said a little earlier something I would like to paraphrase. He said, quoting a friend of his in Birmingham, that the only thing worse than being black in Birmingham is being black and white together. But I would like to paraphrase that a little bit, speaking now of morality, that the only thing worse these days than being a black man in America is being a white man in America. I mean that we are living in a segregated society, which does not mean, as people imagine, that it is simply I who am segregated. It means you are, we all are, and we cannot talk to each other because of the force of social custom and the tyranny of the Southern oligarchy. When I talk about economics, therefore, I am trying to suggest to you, to all of you, that all of you begin to think in very concrete terms. For example, Birmingham is a monstrous city indeed, but Birmingham is not really any worse than New York. There is no place, there is not 1 square inch of American soil in which a black man can be considered to be free. And if that is so for black men, that is true for all of us. New York is not a segregated city by an act of God or by accident. It is a segregated city partly because a vast number of people and a vast complex of interest make a tremendous profit on the blood of black boys and girls, on the continued imprisonment and the continued demoralization of 1/10 of our population. Now, if it is so that Harlem exists principally for the benefit of people who like money, then it is also possible that one can begin to organize in the ghettos of this nation a massive civil disobedience campaign. And let me spell out a little bit, I want to be as precise as I can, of what I mean by that. I was born in Harlem. I was raised in Harlem. And indeed, as long as I live, I will never be able really to leave Harlem. As they say, you can take the child out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the child. I know, therefore, what rents one pays for what. I know what you pay for meat, cabbage, clothes, life insurance, theft insurance, fire insurance, and all of this money feeds, ladies and gentlemen, helps to feed the oppressor who uses the money to keep you in jail. Now, isn't it worth considering what one might be able to do if instead of meekly submitting to this species of rape, one decided that instead of paying the rent, one refused to pay the rent. And when it is said that it is illegal to pay the rent, the answer is it is immoral to charge rent for the houses in which we live. I think that this, for example, among other things, begins to force the economic structure to deal with the problem which will destroy us if we do not deal with it. Because no matter what I may feel, for example, about nonviolence, or no matter how I may feel about how people should treat each other, and no matter how I try to live my life, I'm also aware, and I must be aware, that most people are not really interested or do not dare, perhaps, in any case, do not act toward others as they would like to have others act toward them. And therefore, there is something ultimately futile and terribly dangerous with having so many Negro boys and girls and men and women in the streets so long. I know that this peculiar country has admired the doctrine of nonviolence for 6 or 8 or 9 years and has applauded all those children and all those ministers and all those men and women who went to jail, who got beaten with chains and with hoses, and who were attacked by dogs, has admired them and has done nothing whatever to help them. And furthermore, not only that, which would be bad enough, intends to keep on admiring them and sending them to jail and doing nothing whatever to help them. Now, I think it is time to blow the whistle. I think it is time to begin to deal with the power structure. We're not dealing with white people. It's not a matter of what white people think about you or what they think about themselves. What one has to do is examine and overhaul the system which creates this and perpetuates it. It is very important parenthesis, I think, that I probably ought to make. One's got to point out, I think, that in this country, since the McCarthy era, and is one of the reasons for our absolutely spectacular impotence, anyone who mentioned the word economics was promptly given a ticket to Moscow. I think it is beneath me to say that I am not a communist. I think it's beneath the nation, and very dangerous for the nation, to raise this peculiar red herring the moment one begins to deal with things as they are. Now, the nation which admires the doctrine of nonviolence has never, in my experience, and never as far as I know in its history, which began, if you remember, in Europe, admired nonviolence before. One of the myths of the English is they would never be slaves. One of the reasons Gary Cooper was and Humphrey Bogart were such powerful movie stars, they always had a gun. It's only when a black man says that he might go out and find himself a gun that the country becomes Christian for the first and only time. Now, speaking for myself and trying as best I can to discharge what I take to be my responsibility to everyone in the streets, including me, I don't want to see any more blood. Nobody's blood. My God. You know, if we could end the nightmare tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I could die, in peace. But in fact, the nightmare will not be ended tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And the nation which has admired these boys and girls and men and women overlooks the fact that a boy who was, let us say, 17 in 1955 has now spent 8 years in the streets, is probably under a doctor's care for being beaten half to death by the power structure, ladies and gentlemen, not simply by some idle policeman. Policemen know who they're working for. And by this time, the boy and his wife and his children are very nearly at the end of their rope and are about to crack. This is why it is so important now to try to be precise about what it is that we must do. It is impossible. All my liberal friends and critics to the contrary, it is absolutely impossible for any Negro in this country to be fitted into the structure as it now exists. That is not a possibility. One must be willing to take upon oneself the responsibility of examining and changing the structure so that it becomes more human for everybody. What the Negro's friends pretend, and I'm sorry, baby, but with friends like that, you don't need no enemies. What the Negro's friends pretend is that all the Negro wants is just another Cadillac. He wants to get to be just like Eisenhower. Well, I, speaking for myself, would rather cut my throat than suppose that my forefathers bled and suffered and died for this in this country in order to become yet another blank mediocrity. What we can do. And again, if you remember what I tried to say about economics, and I talked about the lining of the track and what would have happened if we hadn't lined the track. If you think about the myths that American white people have created about American black people, you begin to have some notion of the weight black people have in white people's consciences. It was never true, for example, that I came here wanting to rape nobody, And in fact, I very rarely carried a knife. And I know how to hold my liquor. But the myths to which one is subjected are the most terrifying symptom of the emotional and spiritual and sexual poverty and the panic of the American people. If one is aware of this, then one recognizes, I think this is a most valuable suggestion, that it is not the Negro who is in jail. It is white people who are in jail. When white people can produce, when this white republic can produce, in the streets of Birmingham, for example, children who can do what those black children did, then we may be beginning to approach equality. I think the other reason, and perhaps the most important reason, that I'm throwing the suggestions out to you tonight is that in this country, every black man born in this country until this present moment is born into a country which assures him in as many ways as it can find that he is not worth the dirt he walks on. Every Negro boy and every Negro girl born in this country until this present moment undergoes the agony of trying to find in the body politic, in the body social, outside himself, herself, some image of himself or herself which is not demeaning. And if you doubt me, you check out your textbooks and Hollywood, to name only those two things. Now, many indeed have survived, and at an incalculable cost. And many more have perished and are perishing every day. If you tell a child and do your best to prove to the child that he is not worth life, it is entirely possible that sooner or later the child begins to believe it and acts on it. It is one of the reasons, if I may be rude, that in every ghetto in this country, Saturday night is a dangerous night among Negroes. They let it out with each other because they're too intimidated by what we still refer to as man. And what I am trying to suggest is that we have the power to force the country to change its image of us, and we can do this by proving to ourselves and to the country what we can do for ourselves. We don't need yet to become the president of General Motors. We simply need to call the country on the common disaster, and they cannot put 20 million people in jail.
You're listening to James Baldwin on Voices of Pacifica.
You can obtain a copy of this program and other public radio programs by calling 1-800-735-0230.
Something happens to a person, as I know we all know, when he has achieved his first breakthrough. All I know about my own life, for example, is that I've been scared to death for 39 years and 6 months. And all I know about fear is that if you're afraid of it, walk toward it. No Negro in this country and no citizen of this country who aspires to create this country has any reason whatever to be afraid of, let us say, for example, Senator Eastland. We must make, can I say, the establishment afraid of us. And it is perfectly true, you know, I'm speaking only for Jimmy Baldwin again, that everybody in the country, in Washington, was terrified of the very idea of a march on Washington, and can scarcely be said to have embraced it until they realized they couldn't call it off. Now, if we begin to assess our real weight, our real potential, in the light of our common danger, we can get through this. We can win. We can turn the country into something which makes it a little less difficult to become a man. It is very hard to be black and grow up in this country. Manhood, as a friend of mine said, is a very dangerous pursuit for a black man. But I beg you to observe that it has also become a very dangerous pursuit for a white man. That is one of the reasons for Birmingham. It is not possible that all those people in that city really believed or really believe that they have the right to slaughter children. They don't believe that. They're afraid to speak. One of the reasons they are afraid to speak is that the standards by which we live, black and white, north and south in this country, are unlivable standards. It is not important to be safe. It is not important to get a car. It is not important to make it. It is important to become a man. And this is what we have forgotten. And that is one of the reasons that the caliber of our political representatives has become one of the mockeries of the 20th century. There is, my friends, really a point at which one has to say, I will not choose between the lesser of two evils. There is no such thing as a lesser of two evils. If the political machines in Washington and elsewhere in the nation cannot throw up better material than Mr. Goldwater, Mr. Nixon, Mr. Kennedy, and so on down an extremely dreary line, then perhaps we, the people whom these dreary people are supposed to represent, ought to find a way of being represented. We are not, are we, at the mercy of our political institutions? If we created them, we are responsible for them. We have the right and the duty to overhaul them, to change them. We are not, are we, so helpless that Senator Easton has to stay there forever? Who said so? Isn't it a scandal that in a civilized nation, the death of 6 children should be met by the cynical, I repeat, cynical appointment of a football player, an ex-general, I dare them to go in any Birmingham barber shop and talk to anybody. I dare them. And I think that commission, the appointment of that commission, the very notion, and the apathy with which the country has greeted it proves my point. We have no right to allow the death of 6 children and our common disaster and our common crisis and our moral crisis to be met in this way. It proves, if anything does, that the terms of negotiation must now be radically changed. One cannot negotiate with the representatives of one's oppressor. One must force the administration to recognize that as long as Eastland holds his office, is a Democrat, no one who wants a free country can vote the Democratic ticket. And as long as Goldwater holds his place, no one who wants a free country can vote the Republican ticket. It is time to let the nation know that the death of my child, I as a black man, and the spiritual death of your child, you as a white man, cannot be met by sending down a commission to find out what happened. We know what happened. What we have to do is prevent it from happening again. And in order to do that, one doesn't beg the Birmingham City Fathers for a truce. You use whatever weight you have to force them to recognize your presence in that city, in that state, and in this country as a man. No matter what it costs who. I want to say two more things, and I will leave you. One of them is, it's very important to recognize that the economy of which we are so proud has very shaky foundations. It is very important to recognize that in any case, the economy as it now exists cannot, does not, and cannot supply full employment, that there are more white people out of work numerically than Negroes, and that the future does not look bright. And in my view, though I'm willing to be corrected, I think it is better to spotlight this condition now than wait and have it collapse and precipitate chaos. We can guide the avalanche, or we can try. We haven't got to surrender to it. And the last thing I want to say to you, to suggest to you, is that we in this country, black and white, do have in our hands at this moment an enormous and expensive opportunity. If we can think through our situation, if we can face it, we can do something which has not been done in the history of the world before. The terms of our revolution, the American Revolution, the terms of these, not that I drive you out or that you drive me out, but that we come together and embrace and learn to live together. That is the only way that we can have achieved the American Revolution. Now, if we can face this, and it involves facing a great many things, it demands that white people face the fact that I, for example, or any black person they will ever meet or have ever met, I'm not an exotic rarity. I'm not a stranger. I'm none of those things. On the contrary, for all you know, I might be your uncle, your brother, your cousin. Among other things. One of the things that has happened here, and the pathology of the Deep South proves it. So does the pathology of the North, which dictates to them that they move out when I move in. Among other things which have to be excavated here is the fact that this long history is also the history of a love affair. One has got to face this. I'm no longer really black. Maybe I would like to be. Maybe I'd like to go back to Sierra Leone, for example. That was where I came from. But I've been here a long, 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 long time. And I'm now a part of you. And you are a part of me. And the conditions of our maturity, which is our survival, is that we accept this fact and rejoice in it. If we could do that, we might open up and by the example of our own lives and bodies, a possibility that in the future, mankind all over the world will not find it necessary to blow each other up in order to settle a quarrel. Thank you.
James Baldwin, y'all.
That was a talk by James Baldwin given in New York City, September 25th, 1963, less than a month after the March on Washington and 10 days after the infamous Birmingham church bombing that resulted in the deaths of 6 children.
All right, that little bit of history, little history. You know, 2 feet in, 2 feet in. That's what they say, man. The plantation. Has things really changed? Are we in the same condition? That was 2 years before I was born, 1963. I was born 1965, no jive. And he's still talking about the same conditions. We are in the same conditions. Like I said, man, we don't participate in the ignorance here. We do not participate in the ignorance without a doubt. We work for God over here. It is our job to improve ourselves, our families, and our communities. The only way to do it is through knowledge. God said that we are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. An easy equation. God's highest science is mathematics. And so, oh yeah, an easy solve. That means we gotta bring more knowledge. And if we are in the same conditions that we are in 1963 to 2021, and we are dealing with the same things, then we got to do different things. We got to try something new. Oh yeah, something that works. We got to challenge self. So today is Make That Money Monday. We got our guests in the house. Oh yeah, we got to transform our minds. Save money, invest money, start something, complete something. Challenge self. Oh yeah, without a doubt. Material things do not satisfy you. It's impossible. It comes from the internal, not the external. My number one thing is health. Money does not satisfy me. I cannot be bought. Self-made. Projects 6 blocks up the streets. So that means we got to own things, y'all. Whatever it is, whatever category it is, we have to own. Segregation, oh yeah, we were doing a little bit better at segregation. We still segregated, but we integrated our dollars and we're not getting them back. We got to be purposeful. We have to be purposeful, without a doubt. We got a guest in the house. He come from all the way, I don't know where he come from, Chicago, Japan, Russia, Brazil. I mean, where you want him, he been there. Omaha, Nebraska, you know how these stars are. You know how these stars are. They got their own nouns, verbs, adjectives, prepositional phrases. Oh, yes, and predicates. Oh, yeah, them predicates. We'll get right into it. Dialogue. He was here last week. He's been here, Johnny Rogers and all them people, and the governor and all them people. And, you know, I know those people. When you 2 feet in, you get the overseer. They send people down to the plantation. Sometimes they talk to us little people. And so we're going to expose you to the knowledge. We actually like to brag off our neighbors. When they come in town, we like to brag off our neighbors. This is what my mama taught me, and we got to pass it down. And so we're going to get right into a dialogue, because today is Making That Money Monday. And so it's about our mind frame on how we use the dollar. Our dollar only stays here about 30 minutes, and then it goes out to other communities. So we have to be purposeful in changing our mindset. And so, big brother, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you today?
Oh, good, man. I got good health. What's going on? What's going on in your mind today?
Oh, man, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be home in the home of my hero, Malcolm X.
Okay.
Born here.
Without a doubt.
And somebody inspired me as a young man, and still inspires me.
Did they teach you about Malcolm in high school or junior high, or did you have to learn from yourself?
Well, when I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and luckily both my parents, I had two great parents, but I would say my mother was 20 and my father was 23 when I was born.
Okay.
So I said they had no dough.
Okay. Right. Yeah. They were young.
But they were good people. They were educated people. And I grew up during the civil rights era. So my heroes were Ali and James Brown, and Malcolm was assassinated when I was 4.
Okay.
But I read about him.
Okay.
And, I'm like, I've always been like pro-black.
Okay. Yeah.
So, that's during that time, there were songs like I remember my aunt gave me a little 45 and the name of it was the name of the song was Young, Gifted, and Black.
Okay.
So that's what she thought about me. In fact, my life was formed early by my father, who was very pro-black, but not anti anybody else.
Right.
So that's what, and I really learned that you can love your own people without hating anybody else.
My mom taught me the same thing. Even though she picked cotton for white folks for free, she never taught me to hate white people. Mm-hmm. Never.
Yeah, hate is somebody else's weakness.
Right now.
So, but anyway, I just grew up loving black people, and my goal was I wanted to be a Black Panther.
A Black Panther?
Yeah, that was my goal when I was young. I wanted to be a Black Panther. Of course, I didn't know what it meant. Now, my cousin wasn't a Black Panther, but I, subsequently found out that, most of what they did was getting high and partying most of the time.
Yeah.
So, of course, I never knew anything about that. But I've always loved Black people, and it's been a part of my life since I was really young. So I think it's just a part of who I am, to try to help Black people. It's like I couldn't even watch Roots because I just can't see Black people being abused.
Oh, yeah, man. It's tough. But do you think we need that psychology? Because right now, people are made ignorant of our contributions by not knowing our suffering.
Well, this is what I think about. I think sometimes we should stop saying we.
Okay.
Because Black people, I say, look, just because your skin tone is the same as Albert Einstein doesn't make you a physicist.
Right.
You had nothing to do with the discovery of the theory of general relativity. Right. You had nothing to do with Isaac Newton's work, Enrico Fermi's work. If you're white, you had nothing to do with that. So stop trying to take credit for what they did just because you got the same skin tone.
Right.
I can't take credit for what Michael Jordan did. Now I'm from Chicago, so that's my thing.
Right. You can brag off him though.
But also neither can I take credit for what Martin Luther King did or what Malcolm X did or what Marcus Garvey did or what Frederick Douglass did or Andrew Maynard Jackson. I can't take any credit for that because I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
And too often we're trying to live off other people's work.
Okay.
Now, those men and women too, Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first self-made female millionaire of any race. Imagine that. She was born 2 years after slavery.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So what I said is we got to stop living off other people's accomplishments. However, we do have to say, what's our responsibility to our people and what are we going to do? So there is a reason to remember what those people did because they also loved our people. And they were focused on, now I'm going to tell you, nobody suffering today compares to what they had to go through.
Without a doubt.
So what I say is we need to recognize them for what they did, to follow in their footsteps by doing something for those that are going to come after us, as opposed to worrying about were they recognized properly or not. You don't get credit for what they did.
So our progression is within ourselves, because a lot of times it's a lot of self-destruction.
There is. And what I would say is that we need to recognize the reason why you study history is so that you're not forced to repeat it.
Right.
But we can't live off of what those that came before us did.
Okay. Right.
So now it's like, what are you going to do today? So you marching and complaining about, Frederick Douglass wasn't recognized. Okay, you recognize him and go do something, because that's his legacy.
So that's the problem, is that we stop the progression of freedom by, I call them new masters. We don't do nothing. We have more controls now. We let everybody else do our work or our freedom for us. We pick one leader and we put all that responsibility on one person, when it's everyone's responsibility.
And I say we should stop calling political people leaders.
Okay.
In a free society, they're not your leader.
Right.
You elect them. You're the boss, not them. So we have this backwards.
Right.
You don't say that the person that sells something to you is your leader. You get to decide whether you want to buy it or not. And the same thing goes with anybody who is who's a politician, who runs some organization. They're not your leaders. So stop calling them your leaders.
Right. Like you said, they're elected. They are hired by us through the vote. And it's their responsibility to take our agenda, to whatever platform it is. Is it a unicameral, or if it's in Congress? No matter where it is, totally correct. Like I said, it's a mind frame, and a lot of times we are poor because of our mindset. It's, we have money. We, like you said, 2 years after slavery, Miss Walker, when it was actually hanging people, was able to become a millionaire. Marcus Garvey,
the
same
first
thing.
Female millionaire. There wasn't any white self-made. She was the first self-made female millionaire of any race in the United States.
Right. And so if she could do that during that time, what is our excuse?
Listen, what we have to do is look at people as individuals. What are you going to do? So first your life is a function of the decisions that you make. So what you have to do is to believe in yourself. God gave you some kind of talent. Listen, if God gave me some kind of talent, it's just, I can add a little bit, but he didn't give me talent in other areas. Everybody has some unique God-given talent. And if you put forth your best efforts, it's hard not to be successful in this country.
Without a doubt. So it goes back to the principle of whatever man thinketh, so is he. I challenge God all the time. If God is a selfish God, then I'm a selfish child, right? And so if God talked to Abraham and Moses and all them, hey, how you doing, Martin? Then he gave them some direct feedback in regards to some blessings or some powers to do something, then I should have that same ability. Like you said, that we have some self-responsibility, but we have to take a step. We have to put some action. Like you said, verb is an action.
Love is a verb.
Yeah, love is a verb. And so and you have to put action behind it. You can't sit still. You got to put action. You have to take one step. And thus far, God has taken 2 steps. You cannot beat those mathematics. You can't beat those mathematics, but you have to initiate, the path. It's a mindset when it comes to economics. We've been taught economics. Well, we have not been taught economics on purpose.
Well, look, here's the thing. I think it is the country in general has very low economic IQ. not just black people, white people, everybody else. We teaching people all these fluffy things in school. You don't need to spend $40,000 a year to go to college to learn about something you can read on the internet.
Right.
You know, if you want to learn about ethnic studies, you can learn about that on the internet. Now, are you going to spend all your time and your energy and money studying stuff that nobody's going to pay you for anything for?
Right.
You have to think about your time as an investment in your earnings capability. So you have, from an economic perspective,
Right.
you need to think about the use of your time.
Okay. Right now, so actually, we are businesses ourselves, and Brother Junior, just a junior. It's Martine. Martine's my co-host.
Hey, Martine. Good morning.
We call her. She's the queen of side hustle. So she also does taxes. She's all about finances. She teaches small business. So since she's done my taxes, my pocket's gone way up. My pocket's gone way up. You know what I mean? Based off of deductions and Schedule C, and connected my business and my personal what do you call that? Liabilities, I guess. I think I'm getting the term. I think she's teaching me right. She's teaching me right. And so but we got to connect with people that have that wisdom. And so that's why we bring David in here just to talk about, your wisdom. I mean, Robert.
David's my middle name.
Yeah. So hey, I'm working on my telepathy. I told you. Well, I forgot. So RD, and they call me BK. But we got to bring people in that have different experiences in order to stimulate our thoughts in order to even go to a different path.
Well, listen, it's amazing. You can make money at anything that you world class at. I was in Chicago last week, and I was talking to some barbers, because what I think it is a responsibility of black men to go talk to some young black men and try to help them be successful. Right. So I wanted to go to a barbershop. So I called up my barber and said, hey, I just want to meet a group of guys because we're going to talk about the economic advancement of black people. And I want to get the reaction to it. It was great. And then I called. So I tried to put together a new business model, stuff I just like to do for barbershop. So I was talking to this barber. His name's Peyton Sims. He's 81 years old.
81. Okay.
So I was talked to him, and he told me he's worth $2.5 million. Wow. Now, this is a man from Mississippi. Okay. And you talk to him, you can tell he's from Mississippi.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. He didn't graduate from college. I don't even know if he graduated from high school. Now, his parents were sharecroppers.
Okay.
But since he was young, he's always been trying to figure out how he can make some money. And he's got a barber shop. He's been buying stuff, and he's worked his whole life. Now, this is a man who's worth $2.5 million. They got it through work. He put his kid through college. He's gone and helped some young black people become barbers. He said, if this barbers work, they can make $100,000 a year. Realize that. Right. So that's why you got to go and interact with people, and you'll learn something. And we all have something that we can learn from somebody else. But there is no substitute for work and belief and focus. And that's what we have to do. We have to stop thinking that because we're black, we're victims, and we can't do anything because there's some man out there who doesn't want us to be successful.
Right.
Nobody in a free society can keep you as an individual from giving your best. And by the way, just like if you're an athlete, right? When you go out and you were a triple jumper, right? You're a triple jumper. Now, as a triple jumper, I don't know much about triple jumping, but I'm going to guess you had to do a lot of sprinting and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. Now I imagine sometimes your sides were hurting. Your body was hurting, but you had to fight through it.
Yep. And then also you had to fight through the elements, gravity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's right. So you said, I want to be world class in triple jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I got a goal here. And when you had to do those, I'm guessing you had to do wind sprints and all that kind of stuff. And
Wind strength, bounding up a hill,
Yeah.
perpendicular at 45-degree angle, going 15 miles an hour, just to make sure that when I'm at a even plane, I got perfect form and I got the distance at the same time.
now I'm sure sometimes you went home and your body was hurting and your side was hurting and everything
Shin
else.
splints.
Yeah, there you go. Now, there's a saying, in bodybuilding, there's no pain, no gain.
Right.
You're never going to make progress unless you fight through these plateaus that you have.
Right.
And that takes work. It's the same thing in business.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are unwilling to do the work.
That's right. Yeah.
So I give you a story. This young guy I used to work for, his name was Jonathan.
Okay.
His name is Jonathan. So when he was 17 years old, he got in trouble and he shot somebody. And he's sitting in jail trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. And somebody said, you should study computer technology. He said, no, I'm a felon now. Nobody's ever going to give me a job. And I said he had a pretty good understanding of the market. But he got himself some training. And a priest came to me and said, do you ever give internships? And I said, if they're smart, honest, and have a good work ethic, we'll give them a shot. So we hired him at $10 an hour. By the time I kicked him out to have his own company, that's what we did. We just help people have their own companies.
Right.
He was making $140,000 a year.
Good.
And now he probably makes $500,000 a year.
Oh wow.
Hires other people. Now imagine this: how many people who are 17 years old have made mistakes, and they're thinking their life is over.
A
Or
lot.
near over.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, I give you another story. There's this young guy named Jared Adams, who's going to be coming out with a book soon. Jared, when he was, I don't know, he's probably around the same age. He was at some party and had sex with a white girl. You know the story next, which is
Right.
Yep, there you go. I didn't even have to finish it.
All right, hey.
Right?
Hey.
He gets arrested. He gets sentenced to forever in jail.
Forever, ever.
Now he spends his time, he goes to the library, trying to figure out what he can do to fix his case. And he gets in touch with something called the Innocence Project.
Right.
You heard of the Innocence Project?
Yep.
2 people have been saved by that. So the Innocence Project helps him, and after I think it's 8 years or something, he gets out of jail. Imagine between the time you are, 18, 19, you lose 8 years of your life. You lost a lot of development.
A lot.
A lot of development. So there's a man named Michael Golden, white man. This is why I said our people, we can love ourselves without hating anybody else. There may be somebody that gives you an opportunity and you need to be open.
Heck yeah.
And look at people as, you don't have to be blind to the world, but you have to be open to individuals. So the Innocence Project helped him. He got out, but now he's out of jail. Now what? Right? What happens when our people come out of jail? There's nothing for him to do. You get $100 in a bus ticket. Now what are you supposed to do?
Right.
So this man named Michael Golden, he had read about me trying to, caring about young Black people and trying to be helpful to them. And he said, I have a young man named Jared Adams. Would you meet him? He could use some advice. So I met Jared. You could just see that he was, I don't want to call it shaky, but there's something, his spirit wasn't quite right yet. I don't know another way to say it.
Right.
So I just gave him a job. That job for the first few months wasn't doing anything except he wasn't productive because he didn't know anything yet.
Right.
But I said eventually he'll get on his feet. He'll be okay. So what his goal was, and he told me he wanted to be a lawyer. So I said, okay, so we'll give you a job. You come in, paid him a feed himself and take care of himself. And he, long story short, he said, "Oh, I got a chance to be a clerk, but I passed a test." So I said, "Okay, go home. I don't want you to do anything except study for the next 2 weeks. We'll pay you. Go home, study for the next 2 weeks, prepare yourself for this interview that you're going to have." He was successful. Now, long story short, he got in law school, he graduated. He's a lawyer today.
Great.
Nice.
Okay. So there are people who've gone through a lot of stuff and they've overcome a lot. Now, in this country, most people never been anywhere. They never been to Africa. They never been to China. They never been to South America to see what poverty is really like. And I'm going to tell you that poverty, those poor people would die to trade for poor people here.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
So what we have to do is to realize that things may not be easy or good, but they're possible. Right? In fact, you can see a lot of the successful, and you don't have to be highly educated. I should say highly schooled.
Right.
You need to be educated, but you can educate yourself. Right? You don't even have to go to the library anymore. Anybody with a smartphone can go to Google. They can spend their time. They can spend $8 a month and get a subscription to Audible. On my little phone here, I got 250 books that I've listened to them all. So you got 24 hours a day. Take out 8 for sleep. You got 16 hours a day. What are you doing with the 16 hours a day? You should be working out 45 minutes to an hour a day. That means you got 15 hours a day to invest in yourself. Now, if you got a job, you get 8 hours. Okay. That means you still got 7 hours to invest in yourself.
Right out.
So that is what your future earnings will come from. Just like you as an athlete, you had to build a good foundation, right? You couldn't do the same thing at 12 years old that you could do it right when you were 25 as an athlete.
Right.
Because right when you're 25, you're at the beginning of the end. You can see the end as an athlete, unless you're Tom Brady.
Right. Right. Or Mayweather. They still fighting, but but those athletes, even LeBron, is about preparation. If you continue to prepare, then you'll have longevity. And if you continue to do the right thing, again, you'll have longevity. Omaha, Nebraska. We're talking to my man Robert David Blackwell Jr. He got all these names. Actually, he runs the largest table tennis company in the world. A black man. And his ultimate goal was to be #1 in the world at something.
At something.
At something. He made it simple. He made it broad. He put a lot of pressure on self. But I like that because God give us all talents, and we, like Martin King say, if you're gonna be a sweeper, be the best sweeper.
Be the best.
You know, so whatever it is, you gotta be the best. How you doing today, Martin?
I'm fine. You know, this conversation kind of takes me back to my military life experience that I had when you're talking about training, pushing through those plateaus, because that's one thing we learn in the military when we're training to fight. If there was a upcoming war, you just never know. So the military personnel have to be ready. So when we're training, we like to give up right away because it's tough. It's hard to train to fight. And it goes right along with business. We give up because we don't see anything coming out of it right away. And sometimes our expectations are, we want to see something quickly, but that's not reality. Right. Even with training, you're trying to be the best. You're trying to get fit for what's to come. But the training is so difficult. We want to give up. We want to stop. And so I like the fact that Mr. Blackwell Jr. was saying that our Black people, we have to change our mindsets as to being so lazy to pushing through those adversities, because we will give up. We want to sit back and think that, we're worthless because we have a past and we're not going to amount to anything.
So we use a lot of excuses in order to stop our progression.
Right, exactly.
So a lot of stuff is internal, psychological.
Right, we'll talk ourselves out of it right away. And so that's our downfall. That's a lot of the reason why the majority of Black people fail or never come to, to whatever they, to the greatness, that level of greatness, is because we'll cancel ourselves out right away. But had that program not been available, and you mentioning that to that young person, they may not be where they are today.
But let me ask you, both of you guys, a question, because there's a difference between people. How many things have you quit? How many things have you quitted in your life? And both of you guys, how many things? I can name a number of things I've quit in my life, as far as from sports to a class to things that I've started and I just quit. How many things have you quit in your life?
Well, I say listen. If I had a dollar for every time I didn't succeed at some particular task, I'd be rich as Warren Buffett. But this is part of it's part of
right.
So listen, progress requires innovation. Innovation requires experimentation. Experimentation. Not everything experiment you run is going to be successful.
Right.
So if you want something new, you have to innovate. Innovation requires experimentation. Experimentation will result in some failed experiments.
Right.
But that's what you're doing is you're weeding out what doesn't work. But as long as you have a hypothesis, you test it through experimentation. And then you don't give up.
Right.
And then if you keep at it and you have a good, solid foundation,
right.
if you thought about it correctly, right, you go through that and out of the back comes success. Now, when you're a child, you don't go from being in the crib to being a sprinter.
Right.
You stand up and you fall down. That's what progress is like. You go from experimentation to success. So you shouldn't look at everything that didn't go the way that you thought it was going to go as a failure. It's not a failure. It's not a failure. You're not a failure until you turn to being a quitter.
Right.
There's difference.
Yep.
Big right. Difference. Imagine you again as an athlete. The first time you did a triple jump, I'm sure, I don't know what that was. I imagine you were young.
I was young and pretty good, but I still was aspiring to be better.
You had some talent.
As a talent, and still people were better than I was.
Yeah. So imagine if you look back when you were, let's say 15 versus 25, and you look at your technique when you were 15, you'd probably be laughing at yourself.
Right.
I look back at my time in business when I was I had my first business when I was 8. But I look at myself in my 20s and it's like, man, I wouldn't hire me.
Right.
Here on the live, she's live streaming, and you have to fail to succeed. And that's true. You have to, it's trials and errors that has to come along. You have to, like Mr. Blackwell said, you have to continue to strive for the things that you want, even though you may not feel that you're good at it. You may feel that you're failing and you want to just give up, but pushing through those boundaries, those plateaus, like losing weight. We try to lose weight for months and nothing happens. Maybe you might lose a few pounds, 10 pounds, but your goal is 25.
Right.
And you hit that plateau. Your body is saying, hey, and I learned this through a lot of trial and error training and trying to lose weight for years. A trainer, taught me that your body has hit this stage where you need to change up what you're doing in order to continue losing weight.
Right.
So it's that plateau. It's the same thing in business, same thing in life, and trying to strive to be whatever you're trying to accomplish in life. It gets to a point where you have to change what you're doing. If it's no longer working,
right,
you have to change,
right,
and do something different. You have to kind of jerk your body. This is for weight loss. Jerk your body into doing something different. You have to say, "Hey, body, I need you to continue burning the fat."
Right.
I have to change up what I'm doing so that you will know that this is still our goal. We're still trying to, lose this weight. And so I've got to communicate to you that we're still on that drive. And so let's just change up what we're doing, because obviously you've gotten comfortable and you're used to this regimen. I'm going to throw something new on you. You know what I mean?
So you would change up your exercise routine, or you change up your diet, or but it would take action though, right? It would take some action. Like you just can't sit there.
Yeah, and go longer, go harder.
Right.
Maybe you were working out for 20 minutes. Now let's add on another 20 minutes.
Right.
You have to do something different. And that goes with anything in life. Change it up, change your mindset. Because sometimes our mindset, there's levels to this. And so you have to change as you continue to progress. We change up the plans, just like in business. Okay, we've reached that first hurdle. We're making $50,000 a year. Our goal is $100,000 for the next quarter. Okay, so we need to go back to the drawing board and look and see what can we do different to hit this next goal, because this is what we did to hit this, but this is not going to get us to the next level.
Right.
So we need to do some different things.
Well, you'll get different outcomes.
Right.
If you do different things.
Yeah, you have to change it up and change up the mindset at the same time.
Today is Making Money Monday. Again, we brought Robert in. He's in for the next week. I met him during the Johnny Rogers, the Jet Awards. And so we just connected, and, we all try to bring in knowledge and also brag off our neighbors at the same time. What's been up to you, Marty? I know you this weekend. You was over at the Emerging
Ladies Academy.
Yeah, giving out awards and stuff like that. Everybody.
Right. It was a wonderful event. Yeah. It was also coming out of the first class. They graduated, the first teen girl class of that program, the She Code program, graduated, and then it was an incoming class there as well in Ghana, West Africa.
Yeah, I like how they
coordinated.
They coordinated the event at the same time.
Right.
They're in two different countries,
2 different worlds.
Yeah, 2 different worlds
at the same time.
I wonder what time was it over there.
They're 5 hours. Ghana is 5 hours ahead of us.
So at 11 o'clock. So okay, o'clock over there.
Yeah. So their program started a little bit earlier. So they had a program at the same time, and then there was a point where the graduation piece, it was done simultaneously.
Right.
We coordinated the program so that could happen at the same time.
Right.
Between the 2 different time zones. Streamed it live on Zoom. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's nice.
I've never really seen that done before, but it was done. Shout out to Tiffany Gamble. She did that.
Yeah, bring both worlds apart. Yeah.
Right.
Looking at Omaha, and we over there looking at Nigeria. Said,
looking at Ghana. Yeah,
I want to go over to Ghana. I want to go to Ghana. Give me some. I don't know what kind of fruit they got over there. What kind of trees they got fruits with fruit?
What kind of what?
What kind of trees they got over there with fruit?
They've got pineapples.
They grow pineapple?
Coconut. Yes. When I was there, I went to a pineapple orchard.
What?
You know how we know about apple orchards over here.
Yeah, right.
But we don't know about pineapple maybe necessarily.
Man.
Pineapples, acres and acres. And so we're walking with the tour guide, and he has like this machete in his hand, right?
Right.
And so we get to a point in the orchard where he actually cuts off one of the pineapples, and we eat it right there on the spot. And it's fresh, sweet, juicy.
Oh, man.
Oh my God.
We had not traveled on a truck or train or ship.
And we took some pineapples back with us.
Okay, man.
I also found a pink pineapple.
A pink?
A pink pineapple.
Man.
And I took a picture, this was years ago, but I've never seen a pink pineapple. I thought that was fascinating, but it just grew pink, and you can still eat it and everything. It just was pink. And then there was another one. So I thought that was fascinating, but yeah.
We got to see the world.
Yeah, we have to travel. We need to get out. We need to change our mindsets and, from thinking that this is all we're going to see and know about. There's so much more to life.
Right.
Especially when you travel. And that's what's important with children. That's what Tiffany is doing, is exposing these young girls to more than just what they see in their community. We're in the inner city, so it's limited. So she's exposing with technology and travel. Who knows? She may take that group to Ghana with her. You know, you just never know.
You never know.
The parents will come, along, maybe.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah.
As long as you keep taking steps, God keeps manifesting, blessings. And I'm pretty sure that I know that came across her mind. And those young ladies hearing her stories, I know they going to have those same aspirations.
Mm-hmm. So you just never know. Experiences will open up doors to individuals, either at that moment or down the road later in their life. They go grow up and say, "I remember being in the She Coat program, and our exposure to a whole nother country. I want to go there." They may want to go there when they grow up. Mm-hmm. You never know. Right. They may want to work over there. You never know. With technology, you can work anywhere in the world.
Well, even having a dual residency will be even a nice benefit because we were we're captured, and it just unifying with our home country is important for our own self-esteem. Mm-hmm. I know you're a different person going over to Kemet. Some people call it Kemet, some people call it Africa, some people call it Egypt.
Absolutely. I quickly, because I'm a history buff, I like to know how things began. Mm-hmm. But because of my exposure to Ghana, West Africa, I've studied the country. I now take groups to Ghana, West Africa with me. That's another business. So I'm always curious about what more I can learn, because this is something that obviously something I'm supposed to be experiencing, because I think God gives you a mission in life. We're all here on purpose. Right. And I think we all have a duty to our communities. Mm-hmm. And so God will tell you what that is, what your mission is. Right. So with me going to Ghana, West Africa, opening up doors, taking people with me, I take people with various backgrounds, nursing backgrounds, tech backgrounds, culinary backgrounds. Mm. Now, some of them are over there working. They've connected. So it's just me getting them there. Right. And whatever else happens, opportunities. Now I've got a culinary traveler that's over there cooking over there. She's an international culinary entrepreneur.
But Martine, what you and your husband are doing is connecting individuals from urban environment that's been used to an urban environment, and now you're exposing them to an international opportunity, and you picking them back to their home countries, which is important, which is enlightening also. And now I was talking to Brother Junior, and I was talking to Miss Dogba about the opportunities to do trade, because there's 26 countries over in Africa where we can start trading right now, import or export, without having a tariff.
Oh, yeah.
Without having tariffs. And so instead of getting our shea butter from all these other stores, why aren't we getting it from our brothers and sisters from West Africa and East Africa? And as well as our clothing, et cetera, as well as all the other raw materials that come in. Give me some diamonds. Where the gold at? Forget China.
That's the gold coast. Ghana's the gold
forget
coast.
Europe. We need to start claiming and claiming our birthright and advocating from over here in America for what's necessary over in Kemet. Some people call it Africa.
Yeah, and it goes back to learning your history. We come from great people. We come from the richest continent. So why aren't we wanting to go over there? Take our knowledge, our opportunity, Americans, going over there and helping our motherland. Because we have more access to things, our obligation is to go back and help, impart in that country with our knowledge, with our money, with whatever we have to give, because our continent, our motherland, has been raped for so long, and so we have we have the ability to change that, to help them.
Right. It's all about making the decision. And so there's opportunities, like I said, we talked about that act that's right now, that we can use right now, where we can start trading with 26 countries. We won't have a tariff, and tariffs are one of the main barriers of trade right now. And we wouldn't have that barrier if we set forth that initiative. What's on your mind, Brother Junior?
Well, listen, I think this is great. And I remember I've been to Africa a lot. And I think we have something. Black people, the only people that don't have a strong diaspora. If you look at any Chinese person in the United States, they probably speak Chinese.
Right.
Even if they haven't, at least they understand it. They learn it. They go to China. A lot of Chinese friends, because in table tennis, that's who dominates table tennis.
Right.
So almost all of them speak Chinese, even though they're born here.
Right.
They've been to China. That's part of who they are. There's nothing wrong with that. Koreans, it's the same thing. They go to Korean churches. They speak Korean. They go back and visit their country. You can pick any Jewish people in Israel. It's the same thing. Indians, they all been to India, speak the language. A lot of them. So what we need to do is we need to recognize, and we're the only people that have been separated from our diaspora. So we actually have a lot to learn from Africans. You know, the most educated people in the United States are?
I know now. I know the name. I know. I think you married to one.
It's Nigerians. Nigerians are the most educated people per capita in the United States. Now, they're black.
They're black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nigerians make more money on average than white people in the United States. So you can't say that being black then is a disadvantage. They don't see it as a disadvantage because those are the most pro-black people on earth. We don't compare to being pro-black to Nigerians.
Is it because of their work ethic?
It's family.
Okay.
They very strong on family.
Okay.
They're strong on work. And I remember once I was in the office of a man named Aliko Dangote, who's the richest black man in the world. Now I'm in this man's office, me and a group of other black business people. We go to Africa. We get a chance to meet him. It's the most nice, humble man that you can imagine. His office, now this man was worth $20 billion. This office looked like nothing. So we'd sitting there talking, and he said, he was really humble about it, but I'm going to spend $1 billion here. I'm going to invest $1 billion there. Now, he was talking about his own money.
Right.
And it's like, for us, this was like a religious experience. We never heard any black man talk like that.
Right.
So problem with Nigerians is everybody wants to be, nobody wants to work. But there is a, which I found out, my father is part this, there's a tribe in Nigeria called the Igbo tribe. Those are the entrepreneurs of Africa. So we got a lot to learn from Africa.
So we need to go holler at the Igbo tribe then.
Yeah. So we have a lot to learn from Africa about their tribes and culture, and not in like a nostalgic way from the 1700s. And that's what you ever notice when people talking about like things related to black people or like Native Americans. You see things from like 1,000 years ago or something, like nobody's progress since then.
Right.
You know, the only thing you see is people in the fields and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, everybody, you ever see like pictures of Europeans in the caves and stuff like, no, you don't. But us, it's always some nostalgia outside the modern world.
With some flies around us.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So no, us, now Africa can learn something from us as well. In fact, there's a very strong progress and connection to your own diaspora. So black people need to, in my view, black people around the world have very similar issues.
Without a doubt.
If you look at the Caribbean, the issues around the Caribbean are not dissimilar from the issues that we have right here.
Mhm.
So what we need to do is create a new vision for ourselves, get to work, and Black men need to take responsibility for Black boys. I think we, for the last generation, we living off women too much.
Without a doubt.
So
I think we've come too soft. We came too soft right now. Everybody want to wear pink, wear dresses and stuff. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Everybody talking about that Kid Cudi stuff. He dead, man. He committed suicide. You know, and he kicked rock and roll. Rock and roll is not always a God type of music, and so he need to get a spanking wearing a dress on TV as a Black man. I don't agree with it, and so if y'all agree with it, y'all agree with it. But over here, we do not participate in the ignorance. Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm turning my back. I don't keep walking. I'm not going to turn to no stone. Right. So Kid Cudi, we'll never hire you, Kid Cudi. Nah, because our Black boys don't need to see a Black man in the dress, without a doubt. And so we might cut this music off air, because man, I just don't see, because like I said, I grew up at the boys' club. At one time, I had a sexual predator, a male, try to grab me. So don't come to me with y'all letters and y'all dresses when I know what y'all do as a probation officer. I know what you do as a DSM-3, one that have knowledge of the DSM-3. So you talk to a different type of man here, and so. Kid Cudi, we don't wear dresses around here, man. We don't. And so, we don't agree with that around here. And so, because Black boys need to see Black men, and they don't need to be abused, continuous abuse. And that's one way to abuse our young Black boys.
So with that said, Black men need to step up. They need to
come out against that kind of stuff.
Yes. And they need to look for our Black boys and develop programs to bring them in, because we lost with this pandemic. Our school district has lost over 1,400 students. They just left and they didn't come back. And so where are they? They're out here in these streets. Our men need to step up and find these boys, these young boys, and get them in the program, convince them to come back to school. Because it's important for our future. And like Mr. Blackwell Jr. said,
you guys got to start calling me Robert. How about
Robert,
that?
okay, Robert.
Isn't that easier?
All right, Robert. So like Robert said, there's an obligation out here among our Black men, our adults. You're adults now.
Period.
You're adults. So it's no longer about you. That's what I say. It's no longer about you. It's about the future, which is our young boys. So step up, grab them, get them together, get them in programs. If you know a program, introduce them to the program. Let them know. But put your arms around them, just like we do with our girls. Put your arms around them and get them together, because the times of living off of women is over. Y'all need to step up and be leaders and make the money. You need to make money. And I know that's, one of the things that when men don't make money, they feel like they're not worth anything.
Abuse arises, everything.
There's a lot of dynamics in that. So that's one thing, is they need to make money. So, and they have to help themselves so they can help others. But being lazy, living off of other people and all that, living at home, whatever, we got a lot of men live at home with their moms, and I'm not, this is just a general statement, because you could be, living with your mom for what other reasons, but you need to be making your own money.
Without a doubt. Well, David has a program that he's going to be initiating.
Robert.
I mean, dang it. But still,
Robert, David, Robert.
I'm talking all this. All his name, he gonna get used all his name. You know how your mama is, they call you all the names. Especially when I know all of them.
Yeah,
But
I have to change my name.
okay, but Robert is bringing a program here specifically targeting for Black boys.
Oh, nice.
And so and that's the reason why I wanted to highlight him, brag off him, and so you guys could get a touch of who he is. So when it's initiated, you won't say, "Dang, where'd that come from? Who this is?" No, well, it's not gonna be like that. No, we're gonna stamp of approval, and we're gonna let people know that something's coming that can benefit.
That's good.
But and then also got somebody else in the fight. It's not only me saying that, man, Black men need to stand up. I got another brother in the fight, and so we need other brothers to stand up and do what's right. You know what I mean? We all have different skill sets. We need to bring all those skill sets together in order to to make the ship rise.
Right. And as a woman, we need our men to step up. We need our men there for us. We become so independent because they've been gone, missing for whatever reason, either dead or in jail or just absent, period.
Or legislated out of the family.
That too. Yeah, there's a lot of reason why they're not there. But because they're not there, we have to step into that role. And so we become independent, and it appears that we don't need you, but we do. We really do. And we need you to come in, take your rightful position, just like the prodigal son. Come back. He's back. His dad gave him the role, and you're taking your rightful position because you are an heir to this throne. Basically, you're an heir to the throne. And so come and step in. Tap in. As they like to say, tap in.
Well, one thing you should tell Black women is be careful of who you associate yourself with. There's a saying, bad company corrupts good character. So if somebody's not worth something, it don't matter if they're cute or not, doesn't matter if they got a nice body or not, anything else, at the end of the day, you're going to get in this bad boy thing is going to wear off really quick. And you're going to go from a bad boy to a dependent boy. And you don't need a boy. You need a man. You need a man, somebody who's going to take care of you, not somebody that you're going to have on that's as old as you are. So
that part.
Women now need to, I think in general, our people, and this is not everybody because we're a collection of individuals, stop being fascinated with bling. Cannot imagine how many people whose kids barely have food own Louis Vuitton purses. I found it was like your kid doesn't have anything. They're not in school. You're not focused on, but you got a Louis Vuitton bag.
Right.
Something wrong with you. Same thing with you don't got a job, but you got some Air Jordans that cost you all kinds of money. So the first thing that a person needs is character first. It's character first, then knowledge, then determination. Very few people are willing, and this is not just us, this is anybody else, because you see white people now who are getting all addicted on meth and all this stuff. That's not our drug. That's their drug.
That's their drug.
Okay.
That's the rich white people drug.
Look and see what's happening to them. So people are always looking to entertain themselves to death versus educating themselves to death. So whatever that Kid Cudi or whatever his name is, don't base your life on the foolishness that other people participate in. Just because you get entertained by you need to be a clown. So you have to step up and be a man. And be a man is what, not, the physical force that you have. It's what your character is. Now imagine that Malcolm X was born here in Omaha. If you just watch the story of Malcolm X, and he tells you what he used to be like versus what he ended up being like. Totally different person. He was a hustler. Then he went to being somebody that not only cared about what's happening to black people, but he was in jail. He decided he's going to educate himself. And then he was going to fight for black people.
Right.
So that's what we need. We need more men of character, and that takes work. Just like if you want to be a basketball player, you know, that's going to take a lot of work. We had this young man here was a basketball player, right? A semi-pro basketball, Trey. Now you could look at Trey and you could see he's fit. He can probably fly. I don't know if he's 6'2", 6'3", but he can probably fly. Now, he can't do that by sitting at home all day eating, you know, yo-yos and Twinkies and stuff like that. He got to run. He's got to do the work.
Right.
But now you can do the work. The good thing about being in business is it's mostly about your mind and your decisions. I'm 60. I can't make the decision to do what Trey does now. That time is over.
Yeah. It's in my mind.
There you go. But
you have to accept that.
Yeah. But with your brain, the man's most fruitful time in business is time between when he's 40 to 60.
40 to 60?
40 to 60 years old.
Okay, I'm in my prime. I'm almost in my prime.
You in your prime.
I got 4 more years.
You're there. You're right
in
there.
In this country, listen, in this country, and this is why nobody should ever tell you there's something you can't do because you're black. I know people who came out who were sharecroppers. There's a man named Dr. Willie Wilson who lives in Chicago. He came from Louisiana, and he sounds like he's from Louisiana. Okay? But the man's become a millionaire. All kinds of people I know. In fact, if you look at the people in the generations before us, the Johnsons, George Johnson from Johnson Products. These are people who came out who got to Chicago. John Johnson from Ebony Jet. These were not hugely educated men. They were not schooled men, let me put it that way.
Right.
But they were determined men.
Right.
And they were men. And they were focused on, look at the people of the past, like most of you probably too young to remember, like James Brown. It's like our people would never go on TV and embarrass black people.
Right.
That was kind of the rule. You don't embarrass black people. So if you go back and you look at Muhammad Ali when he's surrounded by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Jim Brown and other athletes of their time, they were clean, they were dressed, they were disciplined, but they still love black people. And they say, what's happening? Oh, Bill Russell. You know, they were about the progress of our people. They weren't ashamed of it, but they were dignified.
Right.
They weren't running around acting like hoodlums.
Right.
That's right.
They fought the fight intelligently. And if you fight an enemy, you got to be intelligent.
That's right.
To win. And so sometimes you got to come with it like a feather.
Right. And you couldn't go out the house looking any kind of way. You had to be dressed to the T. No matter if you were going down to the mailbox or whatever.
Without doubt.
Again, you're holding a standard for black people. You're not embarrassing them. So you go out the house. So your mother and your father told you, you got to put on your slacks, your good shoes, your nice shirt like you have on King. And that's how you appear in public. So there's standards. We've lost that as African Americans, Black Americans. We've lost that. You know, they just come out of the house. This generation, they need to go back and watch some of these documentaries because, I mean, where we come from 400 years, yes, we have been oppressed, but sometimes this age, we don't do we do a disservice for the people that paved the way, and we just walk and we just do anything. We just look any kind of way. You know, we're getting fascinated with the bling bling and spending all your money on Gucci's and that Instagram. That's all you see is Gucci and all this other stuff, bling bling bling, and cars and all kind of things.
Right.
And so people think
don't make
that's
any of it.
Yeah, don't make nothing.
Yeah. This generation think that's what it's all about. But all this money that you're spending, you could be building an empire.
Without a doubt, you can be buying stock in Nike instead of
Right.
buying.
You could be retired, by age 30. If you're making really good money or investing your money, learn how to invest money. If you're into, there's talk about crypto is back,
Mhm.
Cryptocurrency. If you're interested in investing, dabble in it, learn a little bit about
We're
it.
actually going to be bringing a young man in. He's into crypto, and he's also a beekeeper. And he'll be in the next couple of weeks. His daughter, he got his daughter into beekeeping, and she got her own brand. And so we'll bring her in. I think she's
Nice.
probably about 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are young people. We got the 2 young sisters. Their mom start their business. They do all kind of bowls and all kind of stuff. I think it was on highlighted on TV. Entrepreneurship is going to be the ticket for all of us. And if we got us to start supporting us, start supporting self by supporting each other.
Right, that's right. Wealth building, and the like you said, King. The route to wealth building is being your own boss, being
Period.
an entrepreneur. Yes, we need people to work these 9 to 5s. That's great, and you can make some good money. But for those that don't have that opportunity, for whatever their background is, you need to start a business.
Yep, without a doubt.
Yeah, and some people, I would say, lucky because I have really 2 great parents. And at 24, I wrote a book on trading theory.
Okay.
And I gave it to my father.
You do my actual trade stock?
Yeah, actually, we're trading. It was really trading options, which is a little more mathematical.
Okay.
So I wrote a book on trading theory. It's based on a branch of math called fractal geometry. So I wrote this book when I was 24, and I asked my father to read it. And he said 2 things. He said, 1, you don't know how to write. He said, number 2 is, do you know what the difference between being eccentric and being?
Okay.
He said, when you get to be rich, you'll be eccentric. Right now, you're weird. And then the 3rd thing he said is, look, nobody's ever going to hire you. So you better figure out how to run your own company.
Wow.
Right. So you've been real for real.
Yeah. And then he said, but look, when you have, remember this, hire more women because women work and men talk.
Right. Without a doubt.
That's the best advice I ever got.
Right.
Right. We know a lot of my progressions came from Black women.
Yeah.
For real. Young brothers have developed some technology, but it's always been a woman. That's why we do things on here on purpose. We got on Wednesday, it's called Winning Women Wednesday. We acknowledge women every Wednesday. It's we work on actual modifying the behavior. And the only way to do it is to put it in practice.
I have a male client, and that's one thing he told me. He's like, I work with women because women will get the job done. And so he's like, I have nothing but women on my team.
Right. And then I also want to say something, since we're talking about business and mindset, Black men that have businesses. And I've been hearing this from Black women. I've been hearing this from all women, but specifically Black men and Black women. Black men, if you have a business and you're dealing with, and D Rash, I want to thank you because he's a young Black businessman. And he said something about the etiquette of the Black businessman when you're dealing with a female customer. And so, Ben, if you're dealing with a Black woman as a female customer, you do not treat her like how Master treated her by cheating her and being sexist.
Say that.
Business is business, and personal stuff is personal. If you got a business, run it as a business. Don't be trying to slide like these doggone fake ass. Landlords.
Beep.
We can say ass. Ass.
Clean it up.
Yeah, we can say ass. We can say ass. Ass. But I am tired of that because some of these women got brothers. Oh yeah. Uncles that don't appreciate that. Cousins and husbands and boyfriends for y'all that try to do all that. But black men, please, I don't do that here. We are a model. Even when we had Martine, that's why I had women around to keep me balanced. Even when we deal with young people, I separate myself from young women because that's how way men do. Men stay with the young boys, the women stay with the young girls. That's the discipline that we should have. When we blend, cross the line, there's potential of abuse. And so we got to get out of that mindset. Black men, if you own a business, do not lower your business and your ethics and your professionalism by being sexist. And so I just want to say that. I just want to say that because I just got another report from another businessman, black, and trying to do something to a black woman. And brother, we don't have that over here. We report crimes over here. For real. I grew up in the projects, man. We don't do that over here. I'm just sending a warning, because I am professional, but I still got some little project. Martin, I can't help it. It comes out of me. It comes out of me. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank my man Robert David Blackwell Jr.
You got it right.
Oh yeah, I already know. I call him all the names. I researched him. I researched. I see some videos, and then he sent me some philosophy stuff. Because I think a lot, Martin. I think so much, and then he sent me some what you call them, philosophy things.
Yeah, on Stoic philosophy.
Okay, so I'm able to slow my mind down and say, okay, I do that. Okay, I like that. Okay, all right. So I'm able to like focus a little bit better because I think so much. I think a lot, and sometimes I need to have peace and slow down a little bit, and so that's. I like it, so I'm going to continue to use it as a way of self-therapy and self-meditation.
Yeah, and if I may say, in regards to just learning while we're running businesses, or even if you're not in business, you're just going through the journey of trying to develop yourself and move to the next level. Maybe you're trying to get a better paying job. Maybe you're trying to get a job, period. You're coming out of the system, you're out here, you're just trying to figure it out. We learn as we go. So staying focused, we don't have to have all the pieces put together in order to progress and to move to the next level, even if it's baby steps. But even in business, we're learning as we're growing in this business. Yes, we may make some mistakes along the way, but that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes. And so I just want to encourage anyone that's listening, that's out there, if you're discouraged, stay on the path. Get with someone that's gone through this, before you, because there'll be some times where you want to turn back. You want to give up. You want to cancel yourself out. Say, nobody's going to hire me because of X, Y, Z. Right? So we need to make sure that we are staying focused and we get help along the way. I had to get help. I have a coach that has a coach that has a coach, business coach.
Right.
So we don't know it all. We don't know it all. And everybody needs help. And nobody's perfect.
Look, if you look at like Michael Jordan, I'm Chicagoan, so I got to talk about Michael Jordan. It's like, what are you going to be the Michael Jordan of? God put you on this earth to be the Michael Jordan of something. Maybe it's the Michael Jordan of collecting trash. They're billionaires from trash. So you become a billionaire from collecting trash. You make money at anything in this country. So, but if you go and you watch Michael or Kobe, or those guys, and you look at their attitude, it is a determination to win. Now that determination requires some discipline, philosophy, and deciding that what you are going to do and being in control of your own mind. Not everything you do is going to turn out the way that you thought. However, if you keep pushing, you keep progressing, you don't quit, it is hard not to be successful. And in business, the best way to make more money is to be worth more than you're being paid. And what most people don't know is they go about working in job. If you got a job, you're still in business because it's an economic relationship with an employer. Almost anybody can be really successful if you do the 5 just decide to be worth more than you're being paid, because most people are unwilling to do that. And if you're willing to do that, what you'll find is you'll be indispensable, and that person doesn't want to lose you. Okay, we had people that in our company that start off at 40,000 that make 200,000. I couldn't afford to lose that person. So they didn't have to tell me to give them a raise, because if I didn't, somebody else would have.
Right out. So actually, you're loving thy neighbor. Omaha, the burbs, the bluffs. Today is Make That Money Monday. Again, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. I want to thank my sister. Oh yeah, my sister took me to my first. Oh yeah, it was called Commercial Savings and Loans. So y'all remember the savings and loans?
Oh yeah, commercial savings and loans.
I got my first bank account. My sister told me about saving. You know what I mean? And those little things are important. So parents, let's get a bank account for our young people. Let's just teach them the discipline of saving, and start teaching these tools of economics so they can be in better footing than we were.
That's right.
So we're about to get out of here. Before we go, I got some equipment. We're going to be doing our launching up in Macy, Nebraska. I did a press release, Martine. I was up to like 3 o'clock last night going over, make sure I had everybody on there. And I just kind of again want to thank the Omaha Tribe for blessing us to do business with them. So I just kind of want to show you some of the equipment that we installed on the Omaha Tribe, because we're coming to Omaha, baby. Without a doubt, we're coming to Omaha. I know y'all scared. No, I know y'all ain't scared. But this is a unit. We using ubiquity equipment, a combination of ubiquity equipment and KP equipment. And so this is a radio that we connect to our antenna. This radio broadcasts the signal from this antenna. This antenna is a 120 degrees. So we put up 3 of these, so we get 360 degrees. And so we connect the radio to back here, bam. That broadcasts to this unit, which goes on people's houses.
All right.
And this is the pro unit. This unit has a GPS in it, so they're gonna get accurate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that GPS unit. So this equipment we're gonna be installing up in, well, it's actually already been installed in Macy. So we're gonna be doing ribbon cutting Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So if you guys want to roll up, I might get a big old yellow bus. I'm gonna call a bus company, man. Give me about 10 buses. We're pulling up to Macy, Nebraska. I'm in the reservation.
Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
People want to roll up there.
Yeah, roll up there. You know, hang out with the natives and stuff. You know what I mean? Without a doubt. It's a blessing. It's a historic event. So I feel very, very humble, but also I'm letting you know that this was a 7, maybe 8-year journey. An 8-year journey. So a lot of people think it's happened overnight. No, sometimes it takes time in order to ripen. You know what I mean? So the trees are starting to blossom now. Pretty soon they're gonna bear fruit, and then after that they're gonna ripen, and then we're prepared to eat. And so it takes time in order to get to those levels. Omaha, the Birds of Bluffs. Again, you listen to 95.7 The Boss. Got my man Robert, and of course Martine. Any parting words before we get out of here?
It is Making Money Monday. So let's get out there. Let's be prosperous. Let's make this money. Let's build wealth in our community so that we can take care of our families and ourselves and leave a legacy.
Without a doubt.
She said it.
Without a doubt. Omaha, tomorrow is Tell the Truth Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Y'all know Tell the Truth Tuesday. I be telling the truth. Without a doubt. You know, it's kind of hard to tell lies, you know, when you practice telling the truth. You know what I mean? Without a doubt. So let's be purposeful in being the best us. It's going to be sunny today. Get out and get that vitamin D. That's the natural vitamin D. I mean, God loves us, right?
That's what he does.
And then smile. I'm telling you all the things, the qualities of health. Go outside, get some vitamin D, and then smile. You're getting some energy from God, and then you smile, and then you're getting that chemical release internally, self-healing. Oh, you can't beat it.
And you feel better.
Feel better. And then if you got orange or some orange juice, you get A, B, C. Oh, wait. Oh.
Come on now. Come on now.
Omaha, the birds are blessed. We are out of here. You guys have a beautiful day. I'm going to do it. Boss with us.
Boss with us.
It's just a public service announcement.
Are you tired of hearing about the coronavirus? Well, it's real.
I'm telling you, it's real.
Here's what I want you all to do for me. Check this out, man.
Don't panic. If you're sick, stay home.
Stay away from me. It's contagious.
Stay at least 6 feet away from others.
The most dangerous disease. Coronavirus.
Wash your hands frequently and practice good hygiene.
Stand and show these people what time it is, boy.
We can stop the spread of the virus.
Coronavirus. Come here, say it.
So stay home. Stop the spread. Save lives. Most importantly, let's check on our elderly.
Word up. You ain't going out like this.
We're here to keep you informed.
Coronavirus. Just get it real. Don't believe the hype.
In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.
Don't believe the hype.
Are you a business person fed up with working for someone else? Are you in sales and tired of traveling for and selling for a company you don't own? You could partner with iTex, the country's largest retail trade exchange. iTex helps individuals and businesses increase sales, move idle inventory, open new markets, and build cash profit. Now is a great time to partner with us